Hebrews, Hebrews, this is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class, the 18th of January, 25. Okay, the topic inside the room is a question is posed, why is Trump forcing Israel to accept the Gaza ceasefire? We're gonna kind of deal with that, right? You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos you can look at, examine. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah, Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, so-called books of Moses that was given to him by the Lord of hosts, our Redeemer. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to our evening Shabbat class, okay? We're going to do our normal, which is a silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some Q&A and dialogue. Then we'll go into our topic, which is on why is Trump forcing Israel to accept this ceasefire. Okay. Moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts. All that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before thee, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer. Oh Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would return unto us and that you would pour out your spirit upon us. Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth. By thy great power and thy stretched out arm, there is nothing too hard for thee. And knowing all these things, O Lord, we eagerly await thy coming, the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors. Peace be unto thee. Okay. With that being said, we'll read the Psalms. Okay. I think it was Psalms 51, I believe. Psalm 51. Let me see. Yeah, a prayer for cleansing. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to the loving kindness, according to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee and thee have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight. That thou might be just when thou speak when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin by my mother's sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden parts thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifices, else will I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God, broken spirit, and a broken and contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of Jerusalem, the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offerings and whole offerings. Then shalt thou offer bullocks upon thine altar. Okay, so that was Psalms 51, a prayer for cleansing. Any comments on that? Okay, so this is big right here because when I was reading it. But so the first thing is, if you notice in verse 1, it says, "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness," right? According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies. Now here you go right here. Blot out my transgressions. So why is that big? Because you go like we did earlier. I think it was last night, maybe been this morning. But if you go to that, you got so many people that they find it hard to believe that the Lord of hosts is an angel, Lord Michael, right? So let's look at it. It's David talking. Like I said, who you gonna listen to? David, or you gonna listen to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Paul? So it says in Zechariah right here. And like I say, you do with it what you want to do with it. I'm just gonna show it to you. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. This is Joshua, right? When the high priest, it's time for them to leave Babylon, and he had to identify the two anointed ones. He had to identify Zerubbabel, the king out of David lineage, and he had to identify Joshua. And they were identified, and now they have to be cleansed, right? So it says right here in Zechariah 3, verse 1, "And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord." Read it again. "And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan at his right hand to resist him." These are the two trees in the garden, for those people that don't know. Verse 2, "And the Lord said," so the Lord is his angel that Joshua was standing before. "And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, Satan, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee." So this angel, the one chose Jerusalem, not Jesus and not Yahweh. "The Lord have chosen Jerusalem, rebuke thee. This is a brand plucked out of the fire." Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment, and he stood before the angel. So it's an angel there. Right? 4, "He answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garment from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity, thy sin, to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment." So, and he has the capabilities, like I mentioned earlier, to remove sin from an individual. So he just told Joshua, "I have caused thy sin to go away." He removed the sin, and not only that, ain't nobody have to die, or none of that. He removed the sin from Joshua, right? So let's go back and look at what David said. We in Psalm 51. Now David's same, whoever did that to Joshua, that's who David talking to. So we're back in Psalm 51, verse 1. "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, and according to thy multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions." So that's 101. You can't get that. There's something wrong with you. So we see right here, he's talking to the same angel. And while we here to 2 Samuel, we're going to just cover the whole. We're in 2 Samuel, right? Let me get it. We see right now who in charge of seeing right here from this angel right here. So we're going to go a little further than that. I'm in 2 Samuel chapter 7, right? David desired, the same David right here, just asking the angel of the Lord to blot his sins out. He wants to build him a temple, a house, because the Lord was been with him all his life. So he says that here I am sitting in a house made out of cedar and gold. I want to build the Lord a house, Lord of hosts. Let me read it. And it came to pass when the king sat in his house, see that? And the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan, this the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God, the ark of the Lord of hosts, dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said unto the king, go and do all that's in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. So Nathan can't do that. He got to go inquire the Lord or what David's intentions are to see if the Lord want to agree with it. But Nathan tells him, go ahead on, do it, whatever it is in your heart, go do it. So that night, verse 4, it came to pass that night that the Lord came to Nathan, like, go and tell my servant David, thus says the Lord, shall thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Wherefore I have not dwelled in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but I have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. So let's look at this, because like I said, it's like a red rose. The truth opening up. Verse 5, we already know this angel is the Lord of hosts. 5, go and tell my servant David, thus said the Lord. So this the Lord right here, this angel. Shall thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Now here you go. Abraham, in the garden. The Lord came walking in the garden to what Adam and Eve had done. He came in the cool of the day walking. Noah walked with him. Enoch walked with the Lord. So look right here. Whereas I have not dwelled in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but I have walked, come on, in a tent and in a tabernacle. Okay. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye me a house of cedar? So the Lord came to check Nathan on what he told David. Keep going. Now therefore shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus says the Lord of hosts. This is all right here. I took thee from a sheepcote, from following sheep, to be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest. And I have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight. And I have made thee a great name, like the name of the great men that are in the earth, right? Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel. I will plant them that they, all this angel, right here. It ain't Yahushua, it ain't Jason, it ain't Jesus, it ain't Yahweh. That they may dwell in the place of their own, move no more, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more before time. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and I have caused thee to rest from all thy enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee a house. And when thy days are fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I, the Lord of hosts, this angel, will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. Right. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. And I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chastise him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. So just for GP, right? Since we already wide open, it says 14. I will be his father. So this angel right here, this is the father. So take that understanding to the New Testament. JC said that him and his father is one. This the father right here, the angel. He a son himself. So something wrong. Dead cat on the line. Anyway, let's keep going. 15. But my mercy shall not depart away from him. I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee, and thine house. So this is the Lord of hosts talking to Nathan. And thine house and thy kingdom shall ever before thee. and thy throne shall be established forever. So the Lord of hosts sent Nathan to go tell David this. Now we're going to pick it up in 17. According to all these words, and according to the vision, so did Nathan speaking to David. So we, like I said, this ain't Yahweh, this ain't JC. Then went King David in and sat before the Lord, this angel, in Zechariah chapter 3. And he said, who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house that thou hast brought me here to? And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, O Lord, for thou hast spoken also to thy servant house for a while to come. And this is this the manner of a man, O Lord? And what can David say moreover unto thee? For thou, Lord God, knoweth thy servant. So we see right here, David talking to somebody totally different than Paul and Matthew and Mark and Luke and them talking to. There's a whole other program going on. Okay. For thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart, hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant know them. Wherefore thou art, David talking to the Lord of hosts, our Redeemer. Wherefore thou art great, O Lord God, for there is none like thee, neither is there any God besides thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one on earth is like unto thy people, even like Israel, whom God went to whom God went to redeem for the people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for the land before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations, and from the gods. Well, we know this morning that we saw how in the scriptures in Tanakh that the angel of the Lord was in front of them. He moved to the back, destroyed the Egyptians, drowned them, and saved, redeemed Israel. So right, all we looking at is not Yahweh. It's the Lord of hosts, this angel. Now 24, for thou hast confirmed thyself, thy people Israel, to be a people unto thee forever. And thou, Lord, art become their God. G-O-D. See that? And now, this is David talking. And now, O Lord God, the words that thou hast spoken concerning thy servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as thou hast said. 26, and let thy name be magnified forever, saying the Lord of hosts is the God over it. And let the house of thy servant David is forever before thee. Now check this out. 27. O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, this angel, has revealed to thy servant, saying, I will build thee a house. Therefore have thy servant found in his heart to pray. See that? To pray this prayer unto thee. So not only is he overseeing, he over prayer. So everything we've been doing been misguided, misdirected, and wonder why we're still in the predicament we're in. So what did he tell us? When you search the scriptures out in the last days where we at now and find me, then I'll return to you. So JC came way a long time ago, 2,000 years ago. He ain't come in the last days. So our Redeemer tells us in the latter days, in the last days of this age, search the scriptures out, search the Tanakh out, because it wasn't no New Testament when he wrote this, and find me. And then when you find me, do what David just done and call me. Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard.
Okay.
In that you would say, could you expound a little bit on "Wash Me as White as Snow"? Is he talking about this garment? On that, if you could.
Well, he's talking about his soul. If we go to 6, behold, thou desire in this is Psalm 51 and 6. Behold, thou desire truth in thy inward parts. That in thy inward parts, and in thy hidden parts thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be cleansed. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. He's talking about inner man, internal side, is it, the soul.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, we're gonna go to current events.
What the Republicans are planning as they move forward, given the power that they have, given this
Day, right, before this happened.
Vast right-wing media machine that helped put them into power. This is John Barrasso, the Republican senator from Wyoming, who says that on day one, Donald Trump is going to hit America. Remember when, let me back up a little bit here. Remember when George W. Bush opened his attack on Iraq after he lied us into supporting a war against a country that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11 and did not have weapons of mass destruction. He just wanted their oil and got it, by the way, and sold it off to a bunch of other oil companies and saved Halliburton, Dick Cheney's company, from bankruptcy. But in any case, remember when he started just bombing the crap out of Baghdad first thing, and he called it this shock and awe campaign, where shock and awe is English for an old German strategy during World War II. But in any case, here's John Barrasso, and he says, when President Trump takes office next Monday, there's going to be a shock and awe with executive orders, a blizzard of executive orders on the economy as well as the border. And apparently he's going to close the U.S.-Mexican border. He's going to begin mass deportations. He's going to reverse Biden's clean energy policies. He's going to reverse our civil rights protections for the queer community. He's going to reverse whatever he can, civil rights protections for women and for racial minorities and religious minorities. And he intends to overwhelm the public and government and the media with all of these. So the media is going to be stuck. Oh, here's 100 executive orders. We can talk about 3 of them. Which 3 shall we pick? And so an awful lot of horrible stuff that Donald Trump is going to do on day one, particularly the stuff that requires a little bit of explanation, isn't even going to get discussed. But he's going to use recess appointments to get people into office immediately, into his cabinet immediately, so that he can hit the ground running. He's going to use impoundment. I'll give you details on that. He's probably
so this is what I was talking about right here. This is another example I was saying. Like I said, George Bush was a nut bucket. He was a dummy, right? So he's not the power behind that White House, the seat in the White House is these Edomites, the Constitution and all that. They made it. So what you see them doing now? These Edomites, he a dummy. These Edomites got him up there. They the ones calling all the shots. Like I said, behind the New Testament, Edomites wrote the New Testament. Everything they got you doing, they told you to do it. They hide behind JC, but they the ones telling you to do everything JC saying. The Edomites said it, and the same thing you see right here. Like I said, Bush was a dummy. Everything he done, those are intellectual moves from somebody that's intelligent. He was a dummy, just like Trump is. Everything you see him doing, these Edomites behind the scenes doing. They constructed it. They constructed the whole thing from Jump Street. They know right where to go in the Constitution, how to move around us, and have everybody looking crazy.
Going to break a lot of laws in the process, but he doesn't care because the Supreme Court says that, hey, if it's an official act, he's got immunity from prosecution. So impoundment is something that Thomas Jefferson was the first president to use. He withheld, Congress had appropriated money for ships, and he had withheld that money back in 1801. It was $50,000 for U.S. Navy gunboats. because he wanted to reduce tension with France over New Orleans. The Louisiana Purchase made it a moot point, so Jefferson actually won that one. But then Nixon tried it, and Nixon was impounding funds that were for good social programs. He got sued before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. And then Congress passed an impoundment act, that the Impoundment Control Act, that requires the president to get congressional approval before they impound.
So who knows that? Who knows all this he's talking about? The average person don't know nothing about this, but they do.
Or withhold money that Congress has appropriated. Well, Trump says he's going to do it anyway, and he doesn't care what the law says because the Supreme Court said that he's the king. And now, finally, we have Republicans gearing up for class warfare. I'll give you the details on that on the other side of the break, and then I'll pick up your phone calls. What's on your mind today? And just to remind.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, so like I said, if you ain't ready, you need to get ready, because there ain't no hot air. Everybody think it's hot air, but these people, they like a scarred dog or a possum that been cornered. They see that they little world and everything that they concocted is going to the dogs. Creating is digging holes for them, so they in a bind. They have to do what they have to. They got to do everything they saying they gonna do. They have to do it. They don't have no other choice, because if they don't cut it off or try to cut it off, they go into the dogs. They lose in Africa. All those African leaders, they throwing rocks at them now. They're gonna have to do this. Okay. Go to the next one. Nobody have any comments?
Oh, shalom, brother Leonard. I'm sorry. A guy from France. He used to be, I guess, their version of the treasurer. I don't know what the title is, but I was watching a video on him where he said just that. He said that the next generation of European countries will have to invade Africa because there won't be nothing left. Where Africa taking a stand, the other European countries literally don't have the resources to sustain themselves.
Right.
So yeah, so he was saying exactly what you said in the video. We're gonna have to ride on them.
Right, they got to. They have no other choice. And it goes back to what we was talking about Friday night, was that what Esau asked for after Jacob received the blessing. He said, "Do you have a blessing for me?" And as he said, "Yeah, you're gonna live in the fat places of the earth, but with the sword." So what's the sword? War. That's how you gonna live. He can't live no other way. So that's what we look at coming. They already got a blueprint with Albert Pike wrote, Morals and Dogma, where they're gonna cause 3 world wars. We already did 2. Now we're looking at the last one. So they already told you they're coming. Nobody shouldn't be surprised. Check this out.
Are renouncing U.S. citizenship and giving up on the United States for good. And it's not just because of taxes. Today, we're going to share with you many of the reasons why Americans are handing back their passports. We're going to bust the myths, and you're going to learn whether this is right for you. The reality is, most people, even that come to nomad capitalists, don't renounce their citizenship. But I think everyone should have an idea of, what would it take for me to leave my country? What would it take for me to renounce my citizenship? Set those guardrails. Don't be the frog in the pot of boiling water. But there's an article I found in Fortune magazine recently. I was in Fortune magazine recently, not in this article. More Americans are renouncing their citizenship. Here's who is leaving and why. You're going to see a few characters here that go against the stereotype that the media and the politicians who want your money want you to think is leaving. The first one is in 2014, a gentleman named Fabian was 29 when he received a letter from his bank that left him in shock. For one thing, he was a French citizen living in France. There was no reason he thought that his bank should be requesting his US Social Security number. At the time, he wasn't even aware he had one. The bigger shock in the letter, though, came when the bank informed him that he could be a quote unquote, I'm not sure they really said this, but potential tax evader. Maybe the intention was there. Because he had never filed income tax returns with the IRS, the US tax man. He had been born in the US to an American mother and a French father, but had not lived there since he was 18 months old. He does not speak English and spoke to Fortune via ChatGPT translation, and he's never worked in the US. So a couple things right here. I'm a former US citizen. I have a US Social Security number. They don't just delete your Social Security number. And to answer a commonly asked question, at least for now, until they means test Social Security for a lot of other people, I'm sure they'll get around to expatriates as well. I can collect Social Security. I get a statement once a year. Here's how much you're going to get when you turn whatever age. That will keep getting older and older. And I'm sure the amount will get smaller and smaller. So you always have a Social Security number. If you're born in the US, you have one. This is an issue that if you were born in the US, you have to talk to when you're opening bank accounts, for example, overseas. You want to deal with this in the right way. But what's interesting is he was born in the United States, birthright citizenship in the US and many other American countries. Oh, there's also little things you need to know are wrong. I saw a highly sophisticated tax guy, not international tax, but domestic tax guy on YouTube saying, oh yeah, you've got to pay taxes for the last 10 years. Yeah, that went away in the Bush administration. I think it was like 06, 07, maybe early Obama. I think it was Bush. That is the old thing. People are still talking about it almost 2 decades later. So lots of bad information out there. Now, the people that you think are renouncing, not accidental Americans living in France on presumably normal salaries, but the ultra wealthy. Americans renounce their citizenship, says Fortune, for any number of reasons. Some, like Samuel, have no actual ties to the US, but others do so for political reasons. Yeah, the country wastes my money. Yeah, I don't agree with the identity of being American. I live overseas. We see people who may want to make investments in crypto or other stuff. It's hard to do if you're an American in many cases. People have not only lost out when they're trying to renounce, and they couldn't during the pandemic, they lose out on investment opportunities. I bet there are people out there who've lost tens of millions of dollars on both sides of that coin during the pandemic. But there is an increasing cohort of the ultra wealthy who have been searching for greener pastures abroad because of what they consider an overly onerous US tax code. Renouncing citizenship is very rare, and that is true. Plenty of people come to us looking to reduce their taxes. Again, most people these days don't insist on paying zero. We have ways you can pay zero, legally, ethically, I think. But most of our clients say, hey, listen, give me the 10 or 12% tax plan, give me a little bit better lifestyle options, and I'm happy to pay that. So yes, renouncing citizenship is rare. What most people want to know is, how does it work? What are my options? Give me the specifics for my situation. What should I do or not do in the next 5 years if I want to keep that option in my back pocket? But the ultra wealthy, it says, are more likely to acquire second citizenships or residences in places like Portugal or Malta than give up their American passports completely. Now, keep in mind, you can have as many passports as you want. If you're an American, you are an American for tax purposes. And so somebody once tried to tell me, oh, I opened that bank account on my other passport. No such thing. You are required to disclose to a bank or a financial institution when you hold US citizenship. There's no like, hey, here I'm American, here I'm St. Lucian. It doesn't work that way. The reason you want to have a second passport or multiple second passports, as I suggest, is so that perhaps one day you can not have the primary nationality that's causing you all the grief. And I think it won't just be the US in the future. I think other countries like Samuel's home country will eventually do that. So for me, being Maltese is a backup plan to be able to live anywhere in Europe, because European Union citizens can live in each other's countries, and plenty of those are.
Okay, any comments on that? Said thousands of Americans was renouncing their citizenship. I mean, to me, that's a sign. You know what I'm saying? They know something. These wealthy, like he said, the ultra wealthy, they know something is going on, something gonna happen. So they vacating the premises. Any comments, questions? Somebody had something?
Yeah, Brother Leonard, well, I knew one time they were doing these type of things because they were doing these tax havens in other countries. And so what they're talking about denouncing it is still a part of that plan too, what they're doing?
Yeah, it's a part of that. And then what they see happening with the government, with the Republicans, especially with Trump getting in. Like I said, most people, they're not paying no attention to it, but how did this guy come from What he done in what he done with in January 6th, then he ended up getting 34 counts. How is he in the White House? That's alarming. So they actually looking at that. But we sitting here, we fumbling with it. But he looking at how in the world can he be in the White House? And he got 34 counts in the government, the very government he's trying to be the president of. He didn't cause 34 felony counts, but he's still getting the White House. That's extreme. So they looking at that. We not paying no attention to it because we got so many other things people dealing with. But these people, that's all they got to do is sit and look at those type of things. And they know something horrible getting ready to happen. Okay? That make any sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to our need to know information.
That's right. Only 24 hours a year. Breaking news coming out today, January the 18th, 2025, as we are hearing that there is a dire warning coming out from Donald Trump regarding the conflict taking place in the Middle East, as we're hearing the ceasefire.
So they said that they had a ceasefire yesterday, but now Netanyahu called it off.
Fire has been halted. Take a look at this coming out from X. Just in the past 4 hours, it says from Prime Minister of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, we will be unable to move forward with the framework until we receive the list of hostages who will be released, as was agreed. Israel will not tolerate violations of the agreement. Hamas is solely responsible. So we are hearing that right now these ceasefires are on the brink of collapse right now. And we had heard from Donald Trump that if this was not done by the 20th, when he was inaugurated, in 48 hours, that all hell would break loose in the Middle East. So we are hearing that this is essentially crumbling right now unless we see some sort of response, and it is not looking good. Now, take a look at this also coming out today. Trump said the hostage deal better hold. I told Netanyahu, do what you have to do. This has to end. So we have heard this literally coming up today from Donald Trump. And we are hearing that things are not looking good at this time. Here's another article that just came out today as well that says Netanyahu says the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal will be put on hold unless Hamas shares the names of the hostages being released. They're saying that Hamas is not keeping up their end of the bargain at this time. And it looks like we could be seeing all hell breaking out here very soon. As we had heard Trump say, Trump says all hell to pay. Threat was also directed at Israel, not just Hamas, they are saying, as Trump was saying it's time to end this, warning both sides. And also take a look at this. We're hearing that the hostage deal shows that Hamas took Trump's hell to pay threat very seriously. Now, in addition to that, we're hearing that there was a little bit of bickering back and forth between Trump and Biden as to who should actually get credit for this. Biden coming out and saying that this was his deal that he had put together several months prior, and that him and his team worked very hard to do this. Yet it was Donald Trump who had come out the week before and had said there will be all hell to pay unless this is done right now. And then we saw it completed. And then we saw reporters tell Biden, do you think that Trump should be given any sort of credit for this agreement finally coming to fruition? And to which he said, is that a joke? And then he said, oh, and then he turned around. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you think should be getting the credit for putting together this ceasefire agreement? Do you think it's Donald Trump? Put a 47. If you think it's Joe Biden, put a 46. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But we're hearing in the past roughly 4 hours, it looks like this could be falling apart, and we could be seeing coming to fruition what Donald Trump had said was all hell to pay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, in addition to that, we're going to be looking at the video footage here. I'm going to share with you what is going on this, but also take a look. This was just moments ago, seconds ago, we saw Donald Trump. I'm going to play this for you right now. For the inauguration. Literally, I think this was minutes ago.
I saw this live. I paused it for you guys so you could see him actually boarding the plane. There he is on his way to DC, preparing for the inauguration and for everything that's going to be unfolding. Man, look at Barron, how tall he is now. I think, isn't he like 6'9"? He has to duck down to get through the door. Huge kid. And they are on their way. So there you can see them boarding. And in the next roughly 48 hours, we are hearing there has got to be a deal, because if there is not, he said, all hell will be to pay in the Middle East. And we're hearing, it looks like we might be finding out soon what that means. So I'm going to be diving into some video footage for you guys, getting you caught up on the latest so you can see everything that is going on right now. Let's go ahead and get right to it so that way you can see the latest articles, the video footage, and what is taking place here.
Okay, so what do you think about that? Anybody have any comments on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Now, my thing is all this hell everybody gonna catch. They are pretty well have, been genociding these Palestinians over there, and they're still trying to do it. And this been a dangerous man way back. So who's he gonna put the pressure on?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that over the last couple of days. When you understand, like I said, how these Edomites work, they making it look as if him and Netanyahu is at odds, but he actually going over there to clean up all the enemies that's around Israel. That's the way I look at it. But he making it look as if him and Netanyahu are at odds with each other when it comes to the ceasefire. But all hell done broke loose with already before he even get there. Those countries around Israel, they bombing them every day. It ain't looking good for them. So he's going over there, to me looking at it, he's going over there to get some of this heat off of Israel that's on Israel, because it's falling apart. But they're putting this twist on it for everybody that's watching. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
Oh, shalom. That makes sense, Brother Leonard, because like you was teaching that they gotta clear out those countries around Israel to reclaim the land, right?
Exactly. Right. We know they did the same thing with Hitler. They funded Hitler. And then after he did what they wanted him to do, then they came in and cut him off. So it's the same thing, doing the same thing now. All of a
Brother
sudden,
Leonard, I'm sorry,
yeah.
sir.
No,
No, the
ahead.
land that they trying to, that's those people land they taking.
Talking about the Palestinians?
Yes, sir.
Right. When you go back in scripture, look at scripture, those Palestinians are actually Philistines. When you look at their land, where they at, and look at those ancient maps, Solomon and David and the boundaries of Israel back during the time of David. When you follow the history, you come to I think it was Hadrian. He backfilled that whole land with dirt and renamed it Palestine. That's what a lot of people go and say that when they brought, which it was true, when they brought those people over there in 1948, that's when a lot of hell that broke loose. But way before that, the Romans, Hadrian, had already brought drama there. When he backfilled that area, that land, and then renamed it Palestinia Capitolina. When they say short, they saying short now for Palestine, but that's why all that's included in the drama that's going on today. Those people they actually, like I said, they actually Philistine. When you understand who the Philistines are, they was Israel's #1 enemy. They hated the Israelites. Not the Israelis, the Israelites. Okay? So that's something to be factored into that.
In the Philistines, you saying like Goliath and his brothers, right, Brother Leonard?
Yeah, right,
Okay,
right,
right.
exactly. And they came, like I was saying, when you look at that whole area um, around there, like they said, Israel. If you look for the land of Israel, it's surrounded by mountains, right? And so you look at when you just go back in history and look at all the different places in that region, but pretty much the world, but especially in that region around the Mediterranean, these people was building their fortresses and they dwelling places high up in the mountains. So and like I said, a lot of people don't look at that. Why was they doing that? Well, they had these people, the Vikings and the Philistines. They all tied together, giants. They would come by the sea on ships and come in there and raid the place. So that's why they was high up in the mountains to try to get away from them. They set fortresses up high in the mountain. They wouldn't build their habitations down in the valleys or down by the river because they knew eventually them people was coming. They call them the sea people. You can do your history on it. Just Google sea people, and then a whole nother scenario opened up because then you come to find out everywhere you go, the people are trying to build their places way up on top of these plateaus to try to get away from them. Them the people that the Lord host was talking about when he was talking to David, when he said the children of wickedness. They ain't come from him. So that's what that was. And we even see during the time of Rome, the Vikings showed up and they started attacking. They found out that all those monasteries that they had was full of gold and wealth, and those Vikings would come in those ships and raid those monasteries and go back to where they came from. But like I said, they called them the sea people. We didn't, they didn't hid all that from us. But yeah, they was the sea people. That's why everybody, like I said, everybody was building their habitations high up to try to get away from them. And those the Philistines are not from that area right there where Palestine is. They're not from there. They came from Crete. They came from the island of Crete, and they would come there, and eventually they made a settlement right there. And then when Israel got there, the Palestinians was their number one enemy. I mean the Philistines.
Yeah. Now, Brother Leonard, these people have nothing to do with the Arabs.
The Philistines?
Yes, sir.
No, the Arabs are in the book of Joshua when Abraham when Sarah died, Abraham picked up another wife, Cook. Then he had 6 sons by her, and it tells you when Abraham, let me see, when Abraham died, they all came to bury him, and after they buried him, Esau, some of Esau's descendants, and all those children of Cook went back and they became the mingled people, the Arabs. That's who the Arabs are.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Right. Anybody else got anything on that? Any questions, comments? Okay, we're gonna play this little video, and then I'll go into my topic, which is why Trump is forcing Israel to accept the Gaza ceasefire. Okay, let me get this. Yeah, here we go.
Of Islamic cooperation. The whole world is saying we want peace, no more of these wars on behalf of an untenable Israeli policy. If President Trump will do this, this would change.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if this is gonna register. I'm gonna play this again. I don't know about nobody else, but it's like a trumpet in my ear. Here we go.
G20, the BRICS, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The whole world is saying we want peace, no more of these wars.
Ain't that what they have written in the Revelation? The whole world want peace. And the so-called, they say the so-called Antichrist is gonna come. Right? Check it out.
On behalf of an untenable Israeli policy. If President Trump will do this, this would change history for the good. This would make the world tremendously safer.
It was Jeffrey Sachs' fiery remarks at the Cambridge Union that lit the fuse in the ongoing feud between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, a fallout that ultimately brought about a ceasefire in Gaza after an agonizing 16 months of relentless bloodshed. Sachs, never one to sugarcoat his words, praised Trump for ignoring the powerful Israeli lobbyer move many considered political suicide and focusing instead on saving lives. He argued this approach wasn't just humanitarian, but pragmatic, even for the long-term survival of Israel itself. By pushing for a ceasefire, Trump, according to Sachs, aligned himself with a growing number of Jews who are deeply disillusioned.
Okay, let's check this out. Let me get out of this quick first. Let me get this. So,
of affairs in the middle.
So remember, Trump first term, he the capital. When you go back into the ancient times with David and Solomon, Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. They got us thinking these people, well, we know better, but they got the world thinking these people over there now are the Israelites. So Tel Aviv was the capital for the longest. Ever since they've been there, since they got there in 1948, they wasn't allowed to make Jerusalem their capital city. They had Tel Aviv. Trump came, and Trump he moved the capital city from Tel Aviv to Israel in his first term. So why in the hell is he at odds with Netanyahu right now? That's a stage. Okay.
Least, and who've consistently distanced themselves from the violence and fanaticism of religious Zionism. At OMT News, we remain committed to delivering objective reporting on critical issues in Palestine, Lebanon, and beyond. If you value unbiased analysis, don't let efforts to silence us succeed. Like and share this video to help us overcome the algorithm, and subscribe to stay informed with our latest updates. Sachs has always been a polarizing figure in geopolitical circles, a man whose intellectual brilliance is matched only by his knack for
Goldman Sachs. Let that ferment.
Ruffling feathers. His career spans decades of economic advisory roles, from shock therapy in post-Soviet states to advocating for sustainable development and global poverty alleviation. Yet, his outspoken nature and willingness to challenge entrenched powers, like the US deep state or the Israeli political elite, have made him both a respected thinker and a target of criticism. His comments about the Israeli lobby and the alleged genocide in Gaza are not new territory for him. They're part of a long pattern of challenging the narratives that dominate Western foreign policy. Love him or loathe him, Sachs knows how to cut to the heart of the matter, and his Cambridge remarks were no exception. The ceasefire, Sachs suggested, wasn't just a victory for Palestinians, but a seismic shift in the broader geopolitical landscape. He framed it as a win for anti-war Israelis, who are increasingly voicing their opposition to the endless cycle of violence that's come to define Israel's policies in Gaza and the West Bank. But his most provocative claim was that the real victor wasn't just Palestine, it was Iran. According to Sachs, Iran, often painted in the West as a pariah state, has positioned itself as the last true bastion of resistance against Israeli dominance in the Middle East. He went further, arguing that Iran managed to hand Israel a defeat in Gaza without needing nuclear weapons, purely through its support for Palestinian resistance and its ability to challenge Israel's hegemonic aspirations. Of course, such a claim isn't without controversy. Iran's support for groups like Hamas is a well-documented and polarizing issue. Critics argue that this backing exacerbates violence and undermines efforts for peace, while supporters see it as a necessary counterbalance to Israel's military might and its occupation of Palestinian territories. Sachs' perspective that Iran's role in the region is pivotal to resisting what he sees as Israeli aggression flies in the face of the mainstream narrative. It's a bold argument, but it's one that forces a rethink of the simplistic good versus evil lens through which Middle Eastern conflicts are often viewed in the West.
We may see a historic change sooner than we think because.
So let's look at that right quick. I gave you a little rundown on the history of that Palestinian, that territory, that area. So do we see anywhere in the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, where Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, showing any favoritism toward the Philistines?
No, sir.
Okay. So how in the hell are they in prophecy? Right now we at the end, and they are all in the news. They ain't in prophecy. Something to think about. They're not in prophecy. They ain't nowhere in prophecy. Most of the end times is centered around the Israelites and him regathering them and bringing them back. Like the Palestinians ain't, and the Philistines ain't in scripture. Come on. Okay. And this is what I mean by here. Like this guy right here. These people, they control the narrative with their mouths. Like I said, that's what all they did with JC was everything they wrote in red. That's controlling millions and millions of people today. The reason they Christianity, what they wrote in red with JC, and people like this guy here and all these other guys they dictate the narrative with the shit they say because we listen to it. That's one of the things that Ibrahim Torrey is saying. No, I'm not hearing nothing you say no more. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have nothing to say to you because you got a track record. So I'd rather take my chances somewhere else. They don't want to deal with them. That's why I say they up against the wall because that's the spirit that's coming out now. Nobody wants to hear shit they have to say because that's what got us in trouble, listening to them, what they saying when it's garbage. Okay? They put these guys like this on here, and do you know how many people he controlling? They listening to him?
Ministers Ben Gabir and Smotrich are threatening to resign from the Netanyahu government. As I understand it, that might bring him under the 61 votes he needs in the Knesset, which will collapse his government and force elections in Israel.
People should understand who Ben Gabir and Smotrich are. They are not only core to Netanyahu's government right now, they are complete extremists. They are the ones that say, without any scruples, without any recognition of international law or any morals, as I would say it, we will control everything. All of the occupied lands, annex them, push out the Palestinians, the ones that aren't killed under the U.S. bombs.
So, like I said, when you understand what I'm trying to reveal is that he helping them to try to reach that goal to get those ancient borders back. He actually helping them. And we sitting there thinking he's talking against him, but he's flaming the narrative. They all working together. Look at his name, Jeffrey Sachs. They all working together. Trump, they're not at odds. 2025, Project 2025 is they constructed it. All that's helping them what they're trying to do. We sitting there, we told. Like I said, we going back and forth with JC when he tits on the bullhog. But Negroes can't even get past that. And that's what they relying on. Okay. Anybody got any comments on anything before we move on? I'm gonna play a little bit of this other video why Trump is forcing Israel. Like I said, they got a plan, right? So that's why he's forcing Netanyahu, making it look like he's forcing Netanyahu, but yeah, it's all part of their plan. Let's look at it. Okay.
The violence, the genocide, was supposedly to put pressure on Qassam to surrender and turn over the prisoners. So return the captives, failed. Destroy Qassam, that was goal number 2, clearly failed, spectacularly failed. Even Blinken said the other day.
Like I said, this guy we just listened to, Jeffrey Sachs, and these times while he was talking, they setting the narrative. They already know what they're gonna do, but they're using them to set the narrative. Like I said, when we go back to David and all them, it always looked like Israel was gonna be overcame, but the Lord would always show up. That's what they setting up. They making it look like it's the dire for Israel, but they got a plan. They gonna all of a sudden Israel gonna come out on top. Like I said, their objective is to rule the world for 1,000 years. They gotta fool the whole world in order to do
it. Speaking before the Atlantic Council, that American intelligence says that Qassam is bigger today than they were before the war, and I think that's an obvious statement when you kill people's families in the way that that they've done, and people have watched and want to be a part of the resistance. They want to be a part of the liberation. I have no doubt that they're larger than they, even by the inflated numbers that the Israelis give, they're larger. So number 2 was to destroy Qassam. Number 3 was to destroy the Hamas government. That failed as well. There's still administration in the Gaza Strip. The government of Hamas is able to negotiate for a prisoner exchange. They're able to manage the environment in Gaza. The healthcare system has been reestablished. The education system is resisting. The civil defense operated throughout the war, so failure on that. And number 4, that Gaza is no longer a threat to Israel. Gaza now has 70,000 tons of explosives dropped on them with a 5% dud rate. They have explosive munitions for 2
So like I said, they
last year.
They got the media and they're able to set the narrative.
9 more months of genocide.
If you sit there and listen to it,
they have less.
They're gonna set the narrative for you every time.
So it's clear that the goal was genocide, not bringing their people home.
Yeah, they control the media. Go back to the Hollywood and the conception of television and all that. Edomites all around there. They control it.
Yeah, of course, that's always been.
They pros at that.
And you know, a big aspect of this is, and I'm going to talk more about Donald Trump's involvement, but this is confusing a lot of people, and they're saying, well, we can't trust this, it's a ruse, why would Donald Trump insist on this? And I get why people say that, but you have to always look at fundamentals, which is Israel threw everything it had at Gaza, not just everything. Israel had everything the United States had, and they failed to break the resistance. And not only did they fail to break the resistance, but look at the Israeli press today talking about, you know, how the army is broken. There's a big story in Haaretz today by Dalia Scheindlin about
how the picture that they paint,
the levels of mental trauma, absenteeism, family breakdown among the reservists. People just don't want to come back. The army is broken. And Abu Ubaidah told them this would happen right at the beginning. He told them, this is what's going to happen to you. You're either going to be killed or you're going to go back with lifelong physical disabilities or mental disabilities. And it all played out like Abu Ubaidah said. So they couldn't keep going. And then you take all
these things are contestable, absolutely.
Yeah, and then one sort of last point I want to make on this is people are saying, oh, well, yes, but Trump wants to, he wants the Gaza thing to stop because he wants to push forward with normalization, with restoring the Abraham Accords and so on. In fact, he says that himself in a post on Truth Social that he
So let's sum this up. So, like I was saying before, this guy, January 6th, what he done in January 6th, that post they eliminated him right there, but he went through all that, right? He still got credibility. They gave him 34 counts. He did all that, and now he the president. And the first thing he gonna do, he in contention with Israel. Think about that.
Shalom, Brother Leonard, is it a concern that the people over there gonna revolt against this man in there, even with Trump supposedly doing his thing?
Right. But like I was saying before, when you understand what I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's called compartmentalization. Just like with the Freemasons, the higher ups, the 33rd, 33rd degree Masons and all them, they pure Luciferians. They worship Lucifer. So the average man, especially a black man, the average black man that's in Freemason, if he knew that, these dudes, they worshiping Lucifer, they gonna get the hell out of there. But they got them thinking that on the lower range, that is this going on, that they dealing with the New Testament, then they dealing with the Bible, they dealing with Jesus. But that's not what the case. They got them in compartmentalized. It's like a person in that work for a bank, a clerk. The clerk come in there every day, 9 to 5, and get behind the counter, and they service everybody that come through the door. But the whole time, this bank is dealing with drugs, and they funneling money through the bank. She don't understand none of that because she's just the clerk. She don't understand what's going on behind the scene. That's what this is. The population don't have no idea what's going on. It's the higher ups that's making the scheming all of this, plotting all this. Like I said before, they went out their way to lie to us that these people are the Israelites. And now, then they brought them over there in 1948 and said they're the Jews.
Right.
You think they're gonna do? You think now they're just gonna fold up and that's it? No, they got some other stuff going on. Their objective is to rule the world from Jerusalem.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Brother Leonard, with my limited knowledge, I'm just gonna make a prediction that these people gonna revolt, and the army that was destroying the Gaza Strip and all gonna be killing them citizens over there.
Oh yeah, I believe that. I believe that too. But that's from the other side. That's from the Lord of Hosts countering what they got going on. Like I said, it's not gonna stand because we know we at the end. It's not gonna stand. That's not gonna. They're not gonna rule the world. They didn't deal. He didn't allow them to do what they was gonna do. What we looking at now, he's cutting them off. They're trying everything they can to make what they got planned to happen, but we see the Most High influencing, or rejecting it. That's what we're looking at.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Anybody else got any comments on that before we go?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I had watched this video a while ago where Biden said there's nothing that Israel can do to stop getting America's support.
Exactly, right. That's what I'm saying. Right, exactly. They sitting there got you thinking that even with Obama, they had everybody thinking Obama and Netanyahu was at odds. And then had everybody thinking Biden and they at odds. No, they ain't at odds. They got an ancient plan that they're trying to bring about. They're trying to fool the population. That's what they're doing. They got to keep the population dumbed down on what they're actually doing. But they drinking together behind the scenes. Okay. Yeah. Like they say, you got Morals and Dogma that Albert Pike wrote is gonna be 3 world wars. We already had 2. So all this little drama they got running across the news, they're gonna be a war. It's already been planned. It's already been written down. Okay, simple as that. And that war is what Albert Pike said was between Christians and Muslims. They want to destroy the Islamic religion and Christianity and all that, and bring Judaism to the top. And they want to rule the world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. That's what Hitler wanted to do. That's what we're looking at. And they putting all this other stuff on the sidelines to throw the crowd off. Okay, so everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we got that Sunday tomorrow. We got 5 o'clock Sunday advanced Bible study, the dialogue. So I'll see everybody tomorrow at 5 for that. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.